Z490 launched last year and well, it kinda sucked. The plan was to not only support the latest 10th generation CPUs, but also to support 11th gen Rocket Lake processors, which in turn would also open up the pathway for PCI Express Gen 4 devices on Intel. Well, that never happened. Now, Intel have been getting a lot of hate, and some would argue for very good reason. They've been complacent, sloppy, not on the ball, and that explains why AMD have been making huge ground in terms of market share. Well, Z590 is meant to change all of that, not that the consumer will see, as on paper it looks pretty well identical to Z490, apart from having PCI Express Gen 4 support. But Andy, didn't some boards have PCI Express 4.0 functionality on Z490? Well, yes it did, Timmy. Yes it did. Certain manufacturers actually future-proofed their Z490 boards by adding the relevant power and traces specifically for PCI Express 4.0. The sad truth is, however, that there was no real way of validating it at the time due to the lack of CPUs. So I guess the manufacturers were just kind of guessing. Now that the launch of Z590 is getting closer, we've seen some leaks starting to come out regarding some new ASUS ROG boards. The boards were originally leaked over on Twitter, adding to the two boards that we've already seen from ASUS. On top of the prime Z590A, which has had a nice little facelift, and the tough Z590 Plus Wi-Fi for those wanting the industrious look and who don't mind having their colour scheme dictated to them, seriously ASUS, ditch the yellow. Then these are the ones that we've all been pining for. The ROG Maximus 13 Hero seems to have had a little bit of a design change compared to the 12 Hero. It just looks a little chunkier, kind of like me after Christmas. And like, it kind of means business now, and it doesn't stop there. It also looks as though the power delivery may have been increased with dual 8-pin EPS connectors, so we can only assume that we're led to believe the new Intel CPUs may require more power than first anticipated. Yay! Now, the one that really caught my eye, however, is the ROG Maximus 13 Extreme Glacial, which in collaboration with EK looks absolutely stunning. Featuring the same dual 8-pin power connectors, I can only assume that underneath the large water block cover, the hardware is potentially very similar to the Hero board. Featuring a unique style that's, well, pretty much very different to anything ASUS have done recently, it does actually look very similar to the ASRock Aqua board that we saw on Z490. Let's just hope it doesn't have the same hefty price tag. But if you did see the video on ASUS price increases that we did, well, that's looking pretty likely. We should be finding out more news on information on Intel's newest CPUs in pretty much the next day or so definitely keep an eye on that. Now, moving on to gaming, and 2020 was a huge year for it, with the release of Cyberpunk, glitches and all, Half-Life Alyx, Call of Duty Cold War, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and much, much more. And what was one of the best-selling games of 2020? Yep, a game from 7 bloody years ago. GTA 5 is still fending off the competition, only getting beaten by the likes of Call of Duty Cold War and FIFA 21. I mean, that's pretty impressive in the grand scheme of things. And for someone who personally used to play it and stopped probably about a year ago, it still isn't perfect by any means necessary. I mean, putting it into some kind of perspective, GTA Online is completely riddled with bugs, and sometimes, even on the snappiest of gaming PCs, finds it's taking well over 5 minutes to load, and then instantly crashes. Maybe they were the ones who taught CD Projekt Red how to make games. But seriously, on that note, you do have to ask, I mean, where is Cyberpunk in the list? It's just not there. So we can safely assume that the data isn't representative right up until the very last day in December of 2020. Gaming aside, what else is there to do with a PC? Act as if you're some quasi-Tony Stark with your very own Jarvis, of course. This is where the Lenovo Think Reality A3 smart glasses come in. Firstly, gotta admit, the name, it kinda sucks. But the idea itself is pretty damn awesome. I mean, personally, I was astounded when Microsoft announced the HoloLens, as were most people, but what was more astounding was the $3,000 price tag and its consequent demise. I always said AR was better than VR, as it has the kind of realism element to it. I mean, on a gaming standpoint at least, I want to fight zombies in my own freaking house. That shit would be scary as f***. On the office and work side of things, it really does open up huge possibilities with the ability to have multiple screens while working in a pretty small space. Based on the Qualcomm Snapdragon XR1 platform, giving stereoscopic 1080p displays for up to 5 virtual monitors. It also has a dual fisheye set of cameras for room scale tracking and an 8 megapixel RGB camera for 1080p video. It really does seem to kind of tick all of the right boxes. Now, if they can just get the pricing right and not just have it work for kind of, work tasks, that would be great. Come on, it's 2021. Where's augmented reality for gamers? Now, with 2020 behind us, things could only get better, right? Well, not for some people, with Donald Trump being banned from pretty much every platform out there, except for one, Parlor. Parlor touted itself as a social media network without censorship, given the ability of free speech, which mainly consisted of far-right ideologies being thrown left, right, and centre. Get it? While this idea was admirable, the execution, maybe not so much, with Parlor now ceasing to exist on any platform. While Google removed Parlor from the Play Store, Apple from the App Store, and Amazon threatening to remove hosting for Parlor from its dedicated servers, things were looking pretty dire for the social media platform. I do have to admit though, Amazon, they were pretty gracious in the grand scheme of things, giving them until Sunday evening to find a new home due to many cases of infringement in regards to, well, inciting violence. Fast forward to today, Monday the 11th of January 2021, and Parlor.com cannot even be reached. I guess they didn't find a new home, and they have very much, like Donald Trump, been silenced. But do you know what's not silent though? The people who will be amazed and in absolute awe when they see you using the handy dandy eTeknix PC maintenance toolkit. With everything you need to build, repair and maintain a PC, it even has everything you need to install and maintain a custom loop. It actually has everything. Available on store.eteknix.com, the link is in the description below.